Good day, Zimbabweans out there. I can see there are people who have already started posting on my my Facebook line. Today, I decided to discuss with you, do some evaluation and analysis of the political situation in Zimbabwe, especially given that we are drawing to the end of 2016. And various political parties have had some conferences, meetings, in whatever form. Of particular interest is that we had a meeting, a conference by MDC, and also PDP had their own conferences. And this week we saw sort of a volatile conference in Masvingo by ZANU-PF. I would dwell not necessarily on ZANU-PF, but on other political parties as well, because I think they fit well in the jigsaw puzzle of where we are in terms of politics in Zimbabwe. But ZANU-PF being the ruling party, it will take the dominant, if not the main stage of my evaluation and analysis today. And I've said, as I've said earlier on, feel free to pose some questions or to do some contribution. I'm actually also reading through your messages, and they are very encouraging. But let me start with ZANU-PF, the Masvingo conference that have just ended. It is of particular interest, given that all 10 provinces are said to have endorsed Robert Mugabe, a 93-year-old candidate for their presidential election in 2018. It is worrying, given that the state of the economy in Zimbabwe is such that we need to inject new blood in the politics of the country. We need a change of a complete paradigm shift in terms of policies of the government, which ZANU-PF has failed to show leadership on. And this is why we are saying, is ZANU-PF really a serious political party by choosing a 93-year-old as their candidate for 2018? Is this what Zimbabwe wants? Zimbabweans out there, as I try to analyze, I would like you to also to pose sort of your contribution to that. But again, of particular interest is how within the conference and outside the conference, we saw Mugabe in an advanced stage of dementia. And I can give an example when he was given a shovel for a tree planting exercise. He couldn't actually handle the shovel to just to put some soil to in the pit, and you could see as well that he was struggling, walking and sitting and even talking at the conference. Yet here we are. He is the presidential candidate for ZANU-PF. Well, they've got the right to choose any political any candidate for that matter. I think who are we to say they mustn't choose Robert Mugabe or choose another candidate? But of particular interest is Mugabe is head of state, and our current situation is solely because of poor leadership of Robert Mugabe. And for us to, for whatever reasons, we know they are preparing to rig elections. Not that we've accepted that we will fold our hands and then accept the rigged election. But it doesn't give confidence both to investors and to Zimbabweans that there will be a better future for them after 2018. But, however, of particular interest is that ZANU-PF has accepted, at least in theory, that they have failed in terms of giving an economic prosperity to the people of Zimbabwe. And we saw the introduction of the bond notes, which was very clear. In a way, it's an indirect acceptance that the current status quo is not working. But as many civic groups and opposition parties and also the analysts, myself included, and you out there, we made it very clear that the introduction of the bond notes was not a cleverly thought through process. And that seems to resonate now, because I can give you an example of, for example, a story in Mutare where the business people out there, they've been selling their wares using and then accepting the bond notes. But however, they order these wares from Mozambique using the US dollars. Now they've got stacks and stacks of bond notes which they can't use to replenish the goods that have been sold. And already this is less than a month. Already we have got a problem with the bond notes. Now, what is going to happen to those business people? Mutare is just a good example, but this is the same with all business people all over the country. Because we are a net importer of goods as opposed to a net exporter. In the few weeks and few months to come, and I can tell you that 2017 is promising to be a very difficult year for Zimbabwe. And the reasons being that at the moment, yes, we can see some commodities in shops, and those commodities, once they are gone, and that's it, because we don't have foreign currency to import those goods. And because we've destroyed our own industries, we are no longer a manufacturing industry. We are no longer an export country, and this is where the problem is. I'll come back to the economy later on, but I think it's very important for us to look at the politics, especially first. Now, of worrying is also the presence of Nick Mangwana. Nick Mangwana is based in the UK. Some of you might know, and he was introduced to the conference by Xavier Kasukuwere as being the representative of ZANU-PF in UK. And he was given some floor to speak, purportedly speaking on behalf of people in the diaspora, you and me maybe included. And it was very worrying that Nick Mangwana was adamant that the people in the diaspora must not be given the right to vote. But the question is, who is Nick Mangwana? I mean, the right to vote is not a privilege. It is the right in the new constitution. And it was worrying to find that even ZANU-PF at the conference, nobody questioned it. Instead, they went urinating and also clapping their hands as if they agreed with Nick Mangwana, which I know they did agree. And knowing ZANU-PF, they're going to strategize around that. And Nick Mangwana was trying to say that people out there, outside the country, they don't support ZANU-PF. Of course, there is a reason why we don't support ZANU-PF. It's because ZANU-PF has failed. And this is exactly what we have always been saying. If ZANU-PF, as a ruling party, was actually respecting the rule of law and improving the livelihood of the people of Zimbabwe, and also in terms of job creation, etc., I suppose everybody else wouldn't be as antagonistic to ZANU-PF as we are. So, I mean, ZANU-PF needs to sort out the mess that is in the house. It is not the problem of the people who are outside the country. I mean, you have to ask yourself why those people left the country in the first instance. One again was still there. I was very shocked to find that Kasukuwere himself did introduce Comrade Chimurenga, who is in USA, to say Comrade Chimurenga is our representative in USA, just like Nick Mangwana. Now, Comrade Chimurenga lives in New York, in a shanty town called Harlem. He is a black American, has no ties whatsoever with the Zimbabwe. And here is ZANU-PF, which is the ruling party, endorsing Chimurenga, Comrade Chimurenga, as their representative in USA. And you start wondering what type of political party is ZANU-PF, with its leadership like Kasikuwere so myopic about empowering their own people, empowering Zimbabweans. He's actually sort of upholding the appointment of Comrade Chimurenga, who is an American, to be the champion of Zimbabweans in a Zimbabwean infested crisis like this one. So those Nick Mwana and Comrade Chimurenga and Kasikuwere, it actually shows that we are in real trouble. It's politics. It's a shambolic political arena that we are entering. We are actually stepping on sort of a very delicate balance, which Zimbabweans, it might seem a small issue, but believe me, I mean, it shows that we are heading for a big trouble, especially with the type of leadership that we have around Robert Mugabe. Mugabe might be very fragile, politically fragile, and physically fragile, but the people around Mugabe are very dangerous, maybe more dangerous than Robert Mugabe himself. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is, I think, of late we've seen mushrooming of political parties in Zimbabwe, which is quite worrying. I think more than 50 political parties now have launched themselves, and just last month, 2 political parties were launched. 2 of those political parties were launched by pastors from churches. And I can see the work of ZANU-PF. This is exactly what they want. That in the eyes of Zimbabweans, in the eyes of international and regional community, that it is only ZANU-PF that is united. The opposition is fragmented, and it plays very well in the hands of the onlookers. And ZANU-PF is one to gain if the opposition is so united as we are. I mean, look at it. We have now gone to an ideological bankruptcy where almost every village in Zimbabwe must have a political party. And that worries me. And that should worry every Zimbabwean. Even in the Western world, where they are the mothers of democracy, you'll find that there will be about 3 main political parties with a very solid ideology that resonates with the values and culture of those countries, and prospective politicians who join those parties. And they will have an equal opportunity to rise through ranks. And I challenge MDC, my party. I know we have introduced an open door policy, the big tent, for example, which is to be commendable. But we need to go yonder than that. We need to say, for those prospective politicians who want to contribute to their country at whatever level, whether you want to be the president of MDC, whether you want to be the Secretary General of MDC, a VP of MDC, MDC is the only opposition party that welcomes talent. And we must start utilizing talent. That way, there's no need for you to start your own party with a few members of your family. Because the ideology, if you look at all these 50 parties, the ideology is almost the same. They try to rephrase it in a different format, but what we are saying is we need a political party that actually can bring in prosperity to Zimbabwe, and nobody can deny that. And we need a political party that will respect the rule of law. Nobody can deny that. And we need a party that actually can give social mobility to Zimbabweans. Not that we have this idea of a ZANU-PF that only a small clique of people benefit the entire national cake, and nobody can deny that. And another policy is that we want to be a favorable destination for investors so that we can start creating employment for our people, creating wealth, and nobody can deny that. And that we need a Zimbabwe that actually add value to its goods in terms of manufacturing, so that we become a net exporter rather than a net importer. And nobody can deny that. I would be very surprised that any other political party being formed today or thereafter have a different persona to that. That would be very, 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 it would be very suspicious. So we are saying the language is the same. The destination is the same. We have a commonality of enemy, and this is ZANU-PF and Robert Mugabe. And as opposition parties and the Zimbabweans, let's unite. Let us unite. We might have differences. Who said you don't have differences within one political party? I mean, it is a healthy scenario, because then it means the decisions are based on evidence. They are evidence-based decisions. So gone are the days that we live in politics of patronage without questioning leadership, without actually contributing anything to the final decision. As Zimbabweans, let's come together and move forward in that direction. Having analyzed and evaluated in terms of the political parties and the direction where we are going, I would like also to be very cautious of mergers between political parties. I think we must not just measure for the purpose of inclusive, but to add value. There are people who sometimes just start a party because they think if they have got a party, even though they don't have supporters, then it is actually a stepping stone to a position of power. And I think we must desist from that approach of type of politics. Let us unite together. Let us add value to each other from a Zimbabwean perspective. It is possible to unseat ZANU-PF, yes, and we know ZANU-PF is scared. They actually have accepted that for the first time, social media communication has unsettled their dominion of power. They've accepted that. And they've accepted that they also have factionalism amongst ZANU-PF. They've accepted that. And they've accepted that the opposition party is utilized that, is taking advantage of that. They've accepted that. And what we need to do is to tighten the screws. ZANU-PF out there, we are not, as opposition, we are not against you as individuals. This is not politics of personality. This is a national issue. Or what we are saying is we would want to be in a country, Zimbabwe, where every party is free to contest in a democratic dispensation, including ZANU-PF. We welcome ZANU-PF as an opposition, as a responsible opposition. Of course, not as a party in power, because that they've lost. They've failed for the past 37 years. They need to go back to the terraces as an opposition party and to learn from a new change, for a new government that actually brings talent and deliver the prosperity to all Zimbabweans across the board. Now, I would like also to sort of evaluate and analyze in terms of, in short, where we are in terms of the economy. Well, we are running a huge fiscal deficit. Some of you are already aware, but that for every $2 that this government is collecting in taxes, we are spending $3. And that is not sustainable anywhere in the world. And ZANU-PF knows it, but there is no government will to change course. Because changing course would mean firing their own people. Because, mind you, these people who are civil service, most of them, of course, I know there are some who are there on a professional note, but majority of them, they were given those positions because of their ZANU-PF allegiance. And ZANU-PF sees firing those people as a very dangerous precedent, especially as we go to 2018 elections. Because there will be dissent for those people who might have been dismissed from power, from offices. Any loss of jobs by their own, it means that constituency is lost from a ZANU-PF perspective. So they would rather carry through this burden of huge fiscal deficit for the purpose of political survival, not for the purpose of Zimbabwe benefiting out of an economy, which I think we also, the opposition, we need to start talking with a language that resonates with the people of Zimbabwe. Because ZANU-PF wants the people of Zimbabwe out there to believe that we are in this mess because of sanctions. They want the people of Zimbabwe to believe that Zimbabwe is in that mess because of the opposition, which is far from the truth. And we should now go out there on an outreach program. And I think we are not doing enough to sing with the same hymn as opposition. To go out there to the people, talk to the people with the language that they understand, that their misery is not God-given, that their misery is because of ZANU-PF. And their misery is Robert Mugabe. And Mugabe and ZANU-PF, if they wanted the people of Zimbabwe to achieve economic prosperity, they are in power. They had that power, but they are abusing the power. This is why only a few of ZANU-PF leadership are benefiting. And people need to know that. In very clear and crystal clear language that they understand. Now, having looked at yes, the political situation in our country, mind you, it's less than 2 years left now for a do or die election of 2018. So what do? Analyzing and evaluating, talking about it without offering solution would take us nowhere as a people. So I would want all those who are listening at the moment to contribute. Where do we go from here? We know ZANU-PF is not giving up power, and mind you, nobody expected that ZANU-PF would give us power in a silver platter. And we have to demand it. And if we can't get it by demanding what is rightful ours, then we must wrestle the power from ZANU-PF using all means possible. For example, the Constitution. We know that for the past 4 years, ZANU-PF has not implemented the Constitution, the 2013 Constitution. And it would be folly to believe that ZANU-PF would instead, in the 1 year left, less than 1 year left, they will implement the new Constitution. They won't. It will be folly to think that they will introduce, or they will introduce electoral reforms in the next 1 year. That will never happen from ZANU-PF perspective. And I think we must move from rhetoric into an action-oriented process, where we say we are no longer demanding electoral reforms. We are no longer demanding any change of laws that makes it free and fair election, we are going to force the 2013 election, because in the 2013 election, which was voted by 96% of the population of Zimbabwe, have all those instruments to deal with the rogue elements, including ZANU-PF. So we must defy AIPA, we must defy POSA, we must defy any old laws that are existing now, which ZANU-PF is using to oppress the people of Zimbabwe and also the opposition. And when we are confronted with the security agents, with the police, with everything else, then we should take it to the Constitutional Court and let the Constitutional Court then interpret the new Constitution. And that becomes the precedence. So in a way, we are forcing the new Constitution to be operationalized. This is what we need to do from now onwards. There's no need for us to follow the laws that are archaic, that the people of Zimbabwe voted against. We've got a new constitution. Let's all force the government to implement the new constitution in its entirety, and not in a half-baked measure like what they're doing, cherry-picking on provisions that that benefits ZANU-PF. So I think this is the way forward. But let me also look at your contributions here. Thank you very much. Yes, good. Well done. Congratulations. This is your most commented live video yet. Okay, thank you. Bill, true, the trend too many small parties mushrooming is worrisome. Thank you, Bill. Yes, Bretty watching, well done. Delina, yes, that's the best way to go. Opposition parties unite. Thank you very much for that. Also, I've got Elena Dijo. I'm watching. Well done. That's good. Also, Bretty, comrade, respect you and what you and your family have been through, but MDC does not attract talent. In fact, due to the constitution, which has been changed terms to suit the leadership. Okay, some people might argue, but I think I believe in democracy where people can air their views. And I think I'm not going to say that MDC does not make mistakes. Yes, there are issues. I mean, we as we go along, we learn from contributions from people, including the membership. So yes, keep on posting your suggestions so that we can find a way forward for Zimbabwe. This is the few days before the end of 2016. Where do we go from here? Okay, thank you very much. I think there are quite a lot coming. Few are being displayed on my screen. Oh yes, let me see. You is watching, Felix watching, Ndugu. Yes, Tatenda, Henley, the number of people watching your video is increasing. Okay, that's Facebook, which was acknowledging. Delina, Tuesday 2017 will definitely be worse than 2008. I agree with you. Toi is watching. Settlement Chikunya, thank you, watching. Lee Wilcox watching. Seeing Benjamin is watching. Congratulations. This is your, oh yes, okay. Bill Gotora, true. Yes, let's continue discussing. I think this is a big issue, and by no means that will end today. For the next 18 months before we go to 2018 elections, Zimbabweans who must be courageous enough. We must challenge our leadership. We must come out there, and the most important thing is that Zimbabweans must register to vote. And I think this is the time when every Zimbabwean must take part in politics. Either you join active politics and make a difference, or you register to vote and cast your vote on the day and make a difference. This is the only way that we can have a change in Zimbabwe that is meaningful and that will benefit everybody in Zimbabwe. I'll be engaging with you through similar FB Live as we go to the end of 2016 and also 2017. We should actually sort of increase the presence and also communication, analyzing and evaluating and helping each other on various ideas as the way forward. I thank you all for those who have contributed and those who have been watching. Until I meet you in the next FB Live. Thank you. This is Elliot Pfebve.